Okay, we're going to do another solving video here. Just like all of the other videos that you've watched with me so far where we're solving polynomials, what I need to do is I need to move everything to one side and have it set equal to 0. So I want it in standard form to begin. And I'm going to do that here as well. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract an x cubed from both sides. And I'll add a 1. Now, at this step, just like I always do, I'm going to try and find a GCF that I can factor out of all of the terms. And if I have that, it's just going to help me out. I can notice that both of the terms that are on the left side, I can divide evenly by 6, so I'm going to factor a 6 out of them right away. I'll just move the 6 out front. That'll be a factor. I'll be left with an x cubed and a minus 8. And here we are. So the 6 that's out front has no x's in it. And all of my solutions are when x equals something. So if I don't have an x, then this part here is not going to contribute to my solutions. But this thing will. That should have 3 of my solutions because there's an x cubed in there, and I know there's 3 x's inside that set of parentheses. So I'm going to work towards getting that down. What I notice from that set of parentheses is that I have something cubed minus something cubed. And what I am going to do with that is I'm going to go over here and start looking at these little formulas that I can deal with to help me factor out something cubed minus something cubed or something cubed plus something cubed. What I need to be able to do is I need to be able to identify what was cubed in my first term. Well, if x cubed is what I have there, that means that x was the thing that was cubed, and I'm going to use that as my a term. For the 8 that's there, the thing that was cubed to get 8 is 2. So 2 is going to be like my b term, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this a and this b that's right here, and I'm going to plug it into this formula because that's what I need for the minus sign. So when I plug all of this stuff in, it's going to be my a term minus my b term. So that's going to be x minus 2. In the other set of parentheses, it's going to be my a term squared. That's going to be x times x, or x squared. And then that's plus my a times my b term. That's going to be 2x. And then plus my b term squared, which is 2, and 2 times itself is going to be 4. Alright, so this part right here, that I can very easily set equal to 0 and solve. If I have x minus 2 equals 0, that means x is equal to 2, and I have that part done. What's left over on the other side is all quadratic, though. And in this particular case, this part that's left must be solved using the quadratic formula. So I'm going to go through and drop that in. Just so you guys remember, my quadratic formula is my x is equal to a minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And then this whole thing is going to be over 2 times a. So I have that I'm going to contend with. And I just need to be able to identify what all of the parts are. In this problem, my a term is 1. I know, another a term, and it's different. My b term is 2. And my c term is 4. And I'm going to use all of this here inside of my quadratic formula, and then I'm just going to simplify this mess down. So my x is going to end up equaling a minus 2 plus or minus 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 square root, and then that whole thing is going to be over 2 times 1. Now I start simplifying. I'm going to simplify all of the things under the radical first. This will be x is equal to and then I just need you guys to remember this. Clump all of this stuff here together as one big multiplication, and then whatever you get, you can subtract it off of the other thing. So don't try and do it all individually. This is going to be x is equal to a negative 2 plus or minus something. I forgot that there. 4 minus, and then 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. That's all square rooted and still all over 2. And then 4 minus 16 is a negative 12. So x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of a negative 12 all over 2. First thing that I realize right away in here is that I cannot have this negative sign inside of my radical, so I'm going to factor an I out. In this case, it'll be x is equal to a negative 2 plus or minus I square root of 12 all over 2. And then the other thing that I notice is the 12 that's under the radical is not a prime number. So if I take 12 and I break it down into a 4 and a 3, and then that to a 2 and a 2, anything that I have 2 of, I can move out front in front of the radical. And then anything that's left over that's unpaired, like that, goes right back under the radical, and then I can just rearrange this again. So this is going to end up becoming a negative 2 plus or minus 2i, because I can take the 2 out front, square root of 3, because that's what was left over, all divided by 2. And then the last step that I'm going to have here is to simplify. The terms that are in my expression here, this negative 2, this whole big expression, those are all divisible by the 2 that's on the bottom. And so if I do that one step at a time, then I can simplify this all down. Negative 2 divided by 2 is going to be a negative 1. And then 2 times I times the square root of 3 divided by 2 is going to end up becoming just I square root of 3. And these are my other two solutions here. So I've got all 3 of the solutions that I needed for this. I've got this one over here, and I got this one right here, these 2 right here, and that's all I've got.